everybody, and welcome to another edition of the KFS postgame show. No, I am not the great Jonathan Macri. I'm your boy GMAC. Instead, Andrew Claudio here filling in uh, on this West Coast trip as the Knicks go down 144 to 122 to the Los Angeles Clippers. They call this a schedule loss, as far as I'm concerned, in the biz, but it doesn't make it any less frustrating for a lot of us. So let's just start right here. Let's take a gigantic step back and a deep breath. Inhale, exhale, then repeat. The Knicks are in the midst of a very tough stretch. They're on a Western Conference road trip. They really they were very lucky to win, not lucky to win last night, but I look at this game and throughout the fourth quarter when there was just it was very clear they were not coming back to win this game. I had two thoughts. And the first, as far as the big picture is concerned, it was like, damn, I wish they would have gotten that Utah game because then this one is less relevant. And then even more so, I'm very glad they got that Phoenix game because we'd be looking at 3 straight losses. So let's take a deep breath. The other teams that are contending for around the 4 or 5 spot tonight also lost tonight. Indiana got blown out without Halliburton. Jalen Brunson is still him. That Clipper team is really starting to figure it out. That is a team that's won 7 straight. And from talking to Chuck Mockler on the pregame pod the other day, Kawhi Leonard's playing at an MVP level. And it's funny, John and I, for those of you that aren't patrons, John and I just did our All-NBA teams on Patreon. And neither of us had Kawhi on any of our All-NBA teams. And that's looking very stupid at the moment because he completely took over this game midway through the second quarter and frustrated Julius Randle on both ends of the floor. I mean, it's a tough matchup for Julius to be guarding Kawhi, but like you put him on Paul George and give RJ that tough matchup. As far as this game is concerned, like it's tough to analyze a 22-point blowout where the other team shot 56% from the field and 48% from 3. But the Clippers have been doing that to everybody they've played lately. They've really figured it out since sending Russell Westbrook to the bench. But the 2 key moments, the Josh Hart ejection, look, I didn't love his minutes when he was out there to begin with. I thought he got off to a very rocky start. But that's a very quick trigger by the official. I'm imagining Josh Hart said the magic words. And then, of course, that 20-5 run at the end of the second quarter. The Knicks were up by 4, 61-57. A couple turnovers lead to a couple of threes. Next thing you know, the Knicks are down 11 going into the half, and they just never recovered in the second half. That is also a very good Clipper team that they didn't recover against. So I'm trying to take it all in context. I'm not. It's a 2-2 week. Like shout out to the combination of Fred Katz, Benji, and Jeremy that won the week here at KFS in predictions. You would have loved to bank that Utah game. Again, if they had come out of this 3-1, we'd be significantly less frustrated by this one. However, this is why last night was so important. This is why getting that game with Jalen Brunson's quote-unquote heroics, I'll call it that, make this somewhat more palatable. The one very big area of concern, and I'm going to pull it up, this is yet another game that the defense just was non-existent. And at a certain point, and I'm personally just waiting for Taj Gibson to get in the right shape that Tibbs makes the switch, but I did not love the Sims minutes. Tibbs pulled him early in the first half and made Hartenstein play 20 straight minutes to end the first half. It looked rough out there against Zubac. They are missing Mitchell Robinson. And you don't want to say that a team's defense completely falls off a cliff when they lose one player. But my goodness, the rim protection he was providing is just now no longer a factor. And I'm going through the box scores now. They gave up 144 to the Clippers tonight. They gave up 122 to Phoenix last night. And that was a Phoenix team that had 99 points going into the fourth quarter. They gave up 117 to Utah, who was one of the 5 worst teams on offense in the NBA. coming into that game. They gave up 130 points to Toronto on Monday. You add the 133 to Boston, which, I mean, Mitch apparently was hurt in that game. And then go back a game further, the 146 to Milwaukee. Like, at a certain point, something's going to have to be fixed with this defense. And I have no idea what the change is, what the adjustment is. I just have a lot of guys that are a step slow, and you could blame it on the schedule if you'd like to. Some might even blame it on the scheme. This is entering a dangerous territory with this defense, and you can't expect Jalen Brunson to score 50 points every night or have all of your guys be on and shoot 50% from three. You're going to have to, the identity of this team that we came to love last year was them winning a lot of close games, a lot of hard fought games in the low hundreds. And that was the identity, that it started on the defensive end and then it translated over to offense. And that's just not there at the moment. So as far as the worry is concerned, it's that they gave up 144 points. I recognize the team that they did it against is looking every bit like a championship contender at the moment. Like, Paul George, I thought, had a very quiet game throughout this contest. I thought, like, there were moments where I just, like, forgot he was on the court. And then I looked up at the box score, and it's 25, 4, and 7 with 2 steals. And it's like, oh, so he had, like, an outstanding game. Like, that's their team at the moment. You want to know who had a quiet game? Future Hall of Famer, former MVP James Harden, who had 10 and 12 tonight. Only took 6 field goals. That is a very good basketball team that the Knicks played against. And when you lose Josh Hart midway through the second quarter, who, like, we've talked about it a lot. Their best lineup as far as the on-off is concerned is that 4-man group of Quickly, of Josh Hart, Jalen Brunson, and Julius Randle. And when they lost the ability to go to that for the rest of the game midway through the second quarter, that's the moment I got nervous. And I'm not going to say it's the reason they lost, but it took away any hope that they were really going to make a run in the second half. So hopefully this is just again, the first night in LA. Hopefully they don't party too much this weekend. Hopefully they're responsible and show up for the Laker game on Monday. The Lakers just lost to the Spurs. So that is hopefully a game that you can be competitive in and come back and give a better performance than they gave tonight. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Some individual performances to touch on because I'm tired of talking about the Clippers. I thought RJ Barrett had a very good game. 18 points on 15 shots, but really it's he was on 18 for 12 for the longest time. 18, 4, and 5 for RJ. I thought he didn't force too much in this game. So as much as you can against a team with all these great wing defenders like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, I thought he did well. Jalen Brunson got off to a tough start shooting the ball, but was still able to finish with 22 points on 17 shots, 22 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. So he was looking to distribute, which you do appreciate, but also, I mean, he's just, when he gets it going, you can see it's tough to really stop him. Dante DiVincenzo got off to a great start, and this is the one thing about the rotation that I can quibble with sometimes, is that, like, it's part of the rotation that whoever the 2 guard is has to start the game, plays 6-7 minutes or however long his first stretch is, and then doesn't come back until late in the second quarter. And I get it. Every coach has their rotation that they stick to. Like, literally every coach does this. Frank Vogel last night, you could argue that the reason that the Knicks were able to take the lead the way they were in the fourth quarter and they were never able to get back into it is he waited until the 8-minute mark or the 7-minute mark to bring Kevin Durant back in the game. And by then it was too late, and Jalen Brunson came back with him. And at that point, good night, Irene. However, I was kind of looking after Josh Hart got ejected for Dante DiVincenzo to get back in the game after starting the game 4 for 4 from 3. There's quibbles about the rotation I can go to. They didn't lose because of that, but I thought DiVincenzo was trending toward a really better night than this. But obviously the last 12 or so minutes of the game didn't matter. So, but 18 points on 5 of 8 shooting, all 8 of his attempts from 3. He continues to show really positive impact at least from the offensive end. Even though he was a minus 22 tonight, I thought he played a good game, all things considered. Julius Randle. So, Julius Randle had 22 points tonight, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, was 8 of 17 from the field, made all 6 of his free throws, missed all 3 of his 3-point attempts. I thought he was tasked with the impossible assignment of guarding Kawhi Leonard. I thought look, I'll just skip ahead to betting and sweating. I took a Julius Randle under for my pick today, and it hit because I remembered the Clippers game last year. I remembered how much he tried to go one-on-one at Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. I don't know whether it was fatigue that set in, that he just looked gassed by the middle of the third quarter. Honestly, his points just kind of all came. There's this 8-point stretch that he had at the end of the third that makes his stat line look better than it actually was. I thought he played a below expected game for him. A subpar game, we'll call it. I do think that he had 2 Hall of Fame wing defenders on him for a lot of the game that are able to guard him with size. And they frustrated him throughout the game. So, not what you want from Julius. He's been great lately, so it's tough for me to fully crucify him for this, but I had a feeling going into it that this might be what the game looks like. As far as other performances are concerned, I mentioned Jericho Sims, Isaiah Hartenstein, 12 points, 10 rebounds, 3 blocks. He actually had like a really great counting stats game. I thought he played a ton of minutes consecutively. I don't know how much of a the critical thought that is. He's a backup power forward playing 30 minutes at the moment, which might expose him a bit as you play him more. It's very much, Benji has talked about this a lot with some of our guys, that we have a lot of great 22 to 25 minute players that when you play them 30 to 35 minutes, they get more exposed. Josh Hart is a guy I consider like that. He's a perfect 28 to 30 minute player. When you play him 35 to 40 is when he starts to get exposed. Like the exception of Quickly. I think Quickly could play 30 to 35 minutes and it not expose anything, especially on nights he has it going. But yeah, I think Hartenstein is doing an amicable job. I maintain that there's a lineup change coming, and it's in the starting center position. Whether it's Taj subbing in for Sims or it's Hartenstein going to the starting center and then Taj being the backup center, I have a funny feeling that's eventually going to come. So we'll see what happens. Quickly, only 19 minutes tonight. I know that's a sore spot for a lot of people, myself included. The last 12-ish minutes of this game didn't matter. Could Quickly have played more in the first half? Sure. I personally like it when Quickly plays with that Josh Hart lineup. I know he's good in just about any lineup, but this is something, and I thought about this, and you're never going to get an honest answer out of Tibbs, so we'll never know. But having all of these new pieces in the mix or really specifically one new piece in the mix, but this is their first year of Josh Hart at full time too. So to have all of these pieces that Tibbs is trying to find an equal amount of minute distribution, right? The fact that he knows what he has in Quick, I wonder if that's why he's sticking to a rotation that spreads out Quickly at the 2. Now, I will say we got to see RJ at the 4 a little bit in that second quarter, and I liked those minutes. I don't think it's something he's going to stick to. It's going to have to take him being comfortable with Grimes at the 3 or honestly, or DiVincenzo at the 3 for Quickly to get that extra 4-6 minutes that we're looking for. I don't know. I'm at this point, I'm just resigned to the fact that this is a player that I enjoy watching, that I think impacts winning in several ways, that is unfortunately going to be on a different team in the not too distant future. And while I thought he was good in his 19 minutes, I don't know how much you could stand out in a game like this, but that spark, there was a spark in the middle of the third quarter, toward the end of the third quarter, when he checked in, where the Knicks cut a 22-point lead down to 13. And it was like an Emmanuel Quickly layup, a steal that that Quickly forced, and then Jalen Brunson turned an assist into a Randle layup. Like they look better when he's on the court. Good things happens when he's on the court. So, yeah, I wish there was a better solution. I wish I had the answer to it. I'm not able to generate the anger that some are able to have for it, but only 19 minutes for Emmanuel Quickly tonight. And then Quentin Grimes, I thought he played as good as he could have in the second unit. Again, 8 points on 8 shots is not what you want. 2 of 5 from 3 is what you want, though. And it's almost weird that I'm looking at Quentin Grimes' shot attempts more than his actual accuracy tonight. And it's like, great, you're comfortable enough taking 8 shots. Granted, some of those shots happen in garbage time when you were playing with the bench. You were playing with not just the whole bench, but like the very end of the bench. But I was happy to see Grimes walk away with like I'm looking at 7 attempts a game for Grimes. That's where the bar that I'm asking for. Get to 7 attempts a game. And then that I think will be a recipe for success for him. All right. All in all, I think that's really all my thoughts about this game. That Clipper team. Look, my contenders for the West at the moment, like I'm saying this on a night that the Timberwolves blew out the Pacers, and Karl-Anthony Towns had 40 and Anthony Edwards had 37. I think they're a contender for the West. I think this Clipper team we just watched is a contender. I think the Nuggets will, of course, have to be considered contenders. OKC, I'm very curious when the Knicks play them, what we see in that team. It's a very young team that's playing above their expectations. I think you have to put the Lakers in that conversation. We'll see them on Monday. And it's funny, like, I wasn't super impressed by Phoenix. I think they have 2 really great players, and like Nurkic is playing well, but like it's very clear when the Knicks have played certain teams what a contender has looked like, and the class that the Knicks don't seem to belong in just yet, right? And tonight it felt like that was a team that has Kawhi Leonard, and last night that team did have. Granted, Jalen Brunson was unconscious in the second half, but like I wasn't super impressed by Phoenix. I wasn't like the Knicks don't belong on the floor with this team. So we'll see what this Clipper team, how much this continues, but they're now 15-10 and continuing to climb up the Western Conference standings. But we're on to bigger and better things. We'll see the Lakers on Monday and hopefully bounce back in that one. Thank you to everybody tuning in for this. We'll hopefully get to as many comments and as many super chats as possible. But first, we have to take a quick break to tell you about our sponsors for today. And we start with AG1. So shout out to the fine folks at Athletic Greens. They are your daily supply of vitamins and nutrients. Helps with your gut health, helps with your diet. Really improves your stamina throughout the day as well. If you would like to try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase, go to drinkag1.com/filmschool. That's drinkag1.com/filmschool. My drinking game answer for today is going to be anytime someone brings up the defense, because that I think is the most important thing. Anytime someone brings up the defense, we will shout out AG1. The fact that this defense is just falling off a cliff. So again, shout out AG1, drinkag1.com/filmschool, get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 or 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. And then, of course, we also need to shout out the fine folks over at Prize Picks, because we made some betting and sweating picks before the game. Now, first of all, shout out to Prize Picks. If you go to prizepicks.com/KFS and use code KFS, you get a first deposit match up to $100. That's bet 100. They'll give you an extra 100 to play with. That's prizepicks.com, promo code KFS. Daily fantasy sports made easy. Shout out to the fine folks over at Prize Picks. And then this is our betting and sweating picks for today. So James Harden, 17.5 points. Sean took the over. Now, I believe Sean thought that Paul George was not going to play today, and James Harden's also coming off a 28-point performance. This is this Clipper team that it is a very reasonable thing to think James Harden can get 18 points, and instead he only had to take 6 field goals, and his 6 field goal attempts, and his team still scored 140 points, 144 points to be exact. So that's how much on a roll this team is. As I mentioned, took an under for Julius Randle, 37 points, rebounds, and assists. 37.5, I took the under. Julius Randle finished with 22, 4, and 3. Some quick math gives me 29. So he finished with 29 points, rebounds, and assists. So that under hit. XJ took a combo of Jalen Brunson and James Harden over 14 assists. And I was sweating that out for him in that fourth quarter. James Harden finished with 12 by himself, and then Jalen Brunson with 6 assists. So that combo hits. And then, of course, Mensa takes RJ Barrett over 17.5 points by the skin of his teeth. RJ Barrett, 18 points for the night. So the betting and sweating crew goes 3-1 tonight. Hopefully we get that 4-0 eventually. A 3-1 for the second straight night. I just missed it last night with Julius Randle needing one more rebound or assist, and instead he hits the under again. So maybe the new pattern for me would be taking Julius Randle unders again. Go to prizepicks.com/KFS and use code KFS for a first deposit match up to $100. Daily fantasy sports made easy. Shout out to the fine folks over at Prize Picks. Okay, we'll see how long this one goes. I'm curious where all of you want to go with your comments tonight. I'll be on as long as you'd like to. Let's see how many super chats we get to. But we're at on the West Coast, and it's currently 1:22 in the morning. So we'll see what happens, what you guys want to talk about. Let's get into it. Busy, you start us off. Forget about this game, GMAC. Deal. How about that? I've already forgotten about it, Busy. Right there with you. How are you reading rap lyrics? Is it as funny as John? That's a question. No, I don't think it's as funny as John. Partially because my how do I put this delicately? There are 2 Americas, and my parents come from both of them. So I have an ability to, whether it be fake or not, I have an ability to relate very easily to both Americas because I grew up around both. See, now that's sounding like John didn't or John can't. It's just very funny to watch John read rap lyrics. I don't think it's very funny to watch me read rap lyrics. I grew up listening to hip hop. I've since kind of stopped listening to music. Shout out to podcasts. They've just kind of taken over my listening habits. Yeah, I think I put way too much serious thought into this question, Busy. If you want to throw some rap lyrics in, I'll read them, but it's nowhere near as funny as John trying to say Bumbleclot or read NBA Youngboy at 3 a.m. So thank you, Busy, as always, for starting us off. Robert Cross, the legend of GMAC. 4 games in 5 nights. Officiating was trash. Han drooling on the Clippers. Otherwise, it sucked. Hashtag 53 wins. I didn't even mention the officials. I thought they were pretty bad tonight. Now, I thought some of their badness benefited the Knicks. The Knicks were able to take 26 free throws tonight. They had 18 in the first half. That first half, when they had the teams combined for, I believe it was 48 free throws, and they were on pace for 96. I was very worried that if the Knicks made this a close game and it was going to be a free throw match, we were looking at 100 free throws for these teams, and that we were going to start this post game maybe an hour from now. Yeah, I thought the officiating was bad. And look, you could get on Alan Hahn for drooling on the Clippers. I think they're a really outstanding team, so that may be frustrating, but maybe I was drooling on them a little bit. And to your comment about 4 games in 5 nights, it's going to be even worse when they play the Lakers, and it's 5 games and 7 nights, and then it's the Nets, and it's 6 games and 6 games and 10 nights. They finally get 2 nights off, and then they get to play Milwaukee twice in 3 days. And in the span of like they'll play Milwaukee at noon, and then Milwaukee 2 days later at noon, and then they get a break, 1 day break, and they go to OKC. But don't worry, then 2 days later, they start a back-to-back against Orlando and Indiana. This schedule is so ridiculous, guys. Yeah, I can't wait for January when the things start to lighten up. It's why I think John has been preaching, like, keep your head above water, be 500 when you get to that stretch. Things will start to lighten up. It's not like the Sixers. Can I just read the Sixers schedule real quick? I don't get mad often. That's just like a skill of mine. I don't really get that upset about anything, to be honest, or stuff like sports. But like, I was pretty mad about the Jets for a lot this year, but that's a whole different podcast. Can I just read the Sixers schedule lately? So let's go back to December 6th. So they had hold on. I got to go back even further. So Friday, December 1st, their last game before the tournament, right? Before all these other teams went to the tournament. They lost to the Celtics by 6. They had 5 days off. Then they played Washington. Then they had a night off, and they played Atlanta. Then they had 3 days off, and they played Washington again. And they had 2 days off, and they played Detroit. And they had another day off, and then they played Detroit again. And then they had a day off. Oh, no, excuse me. They played again the next night, which is today. And they played Charlotte. They've been playing ass teams after ass team. And we're stuck playing the Bucks and the Celtics in extra game. The Knicks don't play a team that's under 500 for the rest of 2023. And every Sixer game is team competing for the 2024 first overall pick. The Detroit Pistons have lost 24 games in a row, and 2 of their last 3 losses have been the Philadelphia 76ers. The Washington Wizards are 4-21, and 2 of those recent losses are against the Philadelphia 76ers. Why couldn't we have that schedule? That's all I'm saying. The Knicks got rewarded for going to the tournament by having to play the Bucks and the Celtics an extra game on the road, and the Sixers got the consolation prize because they missed the tournament of getting to play Washington again and Atlanta, a free-falling, soon-to-be 9 seed again. Ridiculous. Thank you, Robert. Ryan Shepard. I'm even more concerned with the defense. Shout out AG1. Hold on a second. When every team lights you up like it's an all-star game, that's not going to be sustainable. It's the number one concern I have, Ryan. I completely agree with you. It's the most frustrating part about these games. I can understand Kawhi Leonard going off. I can understand, the defense taking a step back and it not being top 3 anymore. But coming into this game, it was down to 13th. So I'll do a quick check to see if the advanced stats are updated. But their identity is supposed to be like a top 5 defense. I mean, last year was weird, this top 5 offense that we saw, but it was rooted in the possession battle they were winning because of Mitch, because of their offensive rebounding. This year, they really don't have that, or at least this recent stretch, they don't have that. And, it's just trending in the wrong direction. I'm staring at it now. They're down to 16th in defense now. They're below the Sacramento Kings and the Golden State Warriors for defense on the season. Now, I will say they're still top 8 in offense. The net rating is still top 10. They're number 10. But their defense has absolutely fallen off a cliff. And look, I maintain the Taj for Sims switch is coming. I don't think that's going to turn them back into a top 5 defense, though. I think the bigger fear I have is that it's not even a fear. It's just more just a curiosity is the move that this team's going to make. Because I don't think they're going to be okay with this whole thing free falling on the defensive end and it costing them wins and them losing these games where they're giving up 140 points. I can guarantee Tibbs is not going to be okay with it because the guy's up for a contract extension and he would like to have the best resume possible to submit a contract offer to the Knicks. So yeah, I'm right there with you, Ryan. This is absolutely the thing I'm most concerned about. Thank you for the contribution, Anthony Sixto, at tonight's game. Oh, Anthony, all these years that you excuse me. Whoa, I would blame that on the refs. Anthony Sixto, I didn't know that you were a West Coaster, or at least maybe you're not a West Coaster. You just went to the game in LA, but you were at tonight's game. Clips fans cheered louder for free T-shirts than their team. The officiating zapped the energy out of the building. Yeah, I it's funny. I've gotten to know the Clips and Dip guys a bunch, and I think they do a great podcast. And because I hear their passion for the team, and I hear their very well done analysis of the Clippers, and I really do feel like I get a sense of the temperature of the Clipper fan base. I never know how big that fan base is, though. Like, that, it's clearly not as big as the Knicks. I've felt a kindred spirit as a Mets fan that is clearly the little brother of your city, but it sounds as if there's enough of a following, but yet I also remember Kawhi getting booed at Dodger Stadium, So, yeah, I'm not surprised that the T-shirts got a bigger ovation than the actual team. I will say you might actually be onto something with the Zebras taking the fans out the game, because they can do that sometimes. Thank you, Anthony. Busy with another one. Who do you want the Knicks to go after, Donovan Mitchell or Lauri Markkanen? My guess is based on Scott Perry's comments about moving RJ to the 2. It's Lauri Markkanen. We are trying to field the worst defensive starting 5. Busy, that's hilarious. Busy, that got me good. I'm going to take a sip of AG1. Shout out AG1, because that was really funny. So here's what I'll say. I don't think it's Lauri Markkanen. I think the secret's out with Lauri that he is a 4. Shout out to XJ, who's done a lot of research and a lot of resume building. Like, we did our 25 to 29 draft over the summer, and we laughed at him when he took Lauri Markkanen 5th overall. And while I maintain that it was more about you took him over Devin Booker and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who are MVP candidates in my book, what Lauri Markkanen brings you is the ability to be impactful towards winning and elite shooting specifically, without needing as much usage as a Julius Randle. He can play off ball. He can play with a center in the dunker spot. You can get spacing out of your 4, and it'd be a luxury. It's almost like a 90th percentile Karl Anthony Towns. Cat, I think, has more creation than Lauri Markkanen can. I think they're both about equally on defense, although apparently Cat's been good on defense this year. I can't see them going after Lauri, because I think it would be him or Julius, and I think this franchise values Julius Randle in ways that the league and probably this fan base does not. So I did think about, Busy, gotta be honest, I think it was more about OG Anunoby potentially coming in to play the 3 than RJ moving to the 2. But yeah, I think who do I want them to go after if it's one or the other? Lauri would probably cost less. Well, no, Lauri wouldn't cost less, because it's Danny Ainge. They're both going to cost a bundle. So I think the ceiling is higher with Donovan Mitchell. He's also a Mets fan, so I'm personally more of a fan of his. But I recognize limitations that come with the Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson backcourt. So I think it would have to be that if you're getting Donovan Mitchell, you have to then go get OG Anunoby. And I don't know if they can do both. So the answer might be neither, to be honest, Busy. But if I had to pick one, I'd pick Mitchell. Thank you for the question. And then Robert Cross, Last one. Now Peter Piper picked peppers, but run wrapped rhymes. Humpty Humpty fell down. That's his hard time, Jack B. Nimble white, nimble, and he was quick. I'm assuming this is rap lyrics, Robert, that I'm not familiar with. So maybe it did come off as funny as John would potentially read this. This may also be from a time that I'm not familiar with as well. But thank you, Robert, as always. This is Run DMC. Okay. Oh, Peter Piper pit peppers and rope rats rhyme. Okay, my bad. I'm caught up, Robert. I had to hear the song and actually see. I'm not good at reading the lyrics. I'm actually better at actually hearing it. You threw a fastball past me, Robert. Run DMC is a little before my time, even though I obviously know who they are. But thank you, Robert Cross. And that'll do it for tonight's post-game show. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I'm sorry the Knicks couldn't give us a more exciting game to check out or a game to react to. Shout out to the KFS crew, though. We've been putting in some late nights and some really hard work during this West Coast trip. We got one more game to stay up late for on Monday night, so hopefully it's an exciting game to react to against the Lakers. John and Jeremy will be back at their normal time with a Monday morning episode. I think the Lauri Markkanen and the Donovan Mitchell report will come back. Will come up throughout that episode. In fact, I know it because I've already written the rundown. So check out that on Monday morning. I will also have a pregame pod on Monday morning with Trevor Lane of Lakers Nation, also the front office show for those of you who are fans of that show. So we got content coming out on Monday. And then I believe that KFS Study Hall is coming back to Twitter Spaces. I'm not calling it X. Twitter Spaces on Sunday before football. So I have no idea if that's 11 a.m. or 11:30. I believe it's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But before football on Sunday, join Sean and Mensa and maybe Chris for KFS Study Hall. Okay? So tune in for that. And of course, Robert Cross. One more. Legend of GMAC. I am a grumpy old man. Hashtag 53 wins. Is that also a rap lyric? I'm a grumpy old man. I'm a grumpy old man. Or maybe that's just you being a grumpy old man. I'm getting up there, Robert. I'm closer to 40 than I am to 30 at this point in my life. So I'm on my way there. I'm not grumpy though. That's again, it's like the one skill I have is to not be grumpy. You know? Like I was doing Christmas shopping in the fourth quarter on my phone, not like commiserating over this basketball game. Which reminds me, and maybe this is a reminder to all of you, get your Christmas shopping done. 8 days till Christmas. So anyway, thank you everybody for tuning in. If you dig the show, head over to iTunes, drop a 5-star rating and a review. We greatly appreciate it. If you're watching this video, please give a like, a subscribe. Really helps the channel. We will be back with another edition of the KFS postgame show on Monday after the Lakers with me and Sean with a W, staying up late with you. But until then, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We will see you next time. Peace.